Meet the doctor suing the CDC.
Study was on every baby born into my practice,
Okay.
so not the whole practice. I wanted a nice, clean sample. You start at birth, and then you look at the difference in all health outcomes, which they never study that. The CDCs should, but they never do. Look at all health outcomes comparing vaccinated, and in my case, they were verily vaccinated, not CDC vaccinated,
Okay.
to completely unvaccinated, and see the difference. And we published that study, and within days of that study being published, and I see it on your screen, you're seeing the title of that study, within days I lost my license. I got a phone call from my attorney, said, Paul, don't go into the office, don't call any patients, don't write any prescriptions. Your license has been emergently suspended. And I said, why? He says, well, they had an emergency meeting, and you are a threat to public health.
For doing science, for saying, hey, I see
a problem.
I'm just showing you the data.
Right.
I have a very large practice. I can show you
Right.
kids. I can show you all that data.
Yep.
And it's saying what it's saying, and that makes me dangerous.
Okay. So guys, that was Mr. Paul Thomas. I actually wrote about this whole situation that he is talking about on my Substack before I even saw this reel. This is not a confusing thing. He did not lose his license because he published a study, guys. No. I'm going to read you from the court filings of where he lost his license. And I'm going to tell you just about 3 specific cases that caused him to lose his license of the 8 listed. First was in 2017, a 6-year-old boy had a scalp cut at his family farm. His family treated it with colloidal silver and stitched it up themselves. Soon after that, that child developed tetanus and was admitted to the ICU for over 8 weeks, where he was intubated, where a tube was put down his throat. He had a tracheotomy, where a hole was cut into his trachea so he could have a permanent breathing tube placed, and a feeding tube was placed. Not only did he have these procedures, but tetanus itself is incredibly painful. And when that child was discharged, who signed his discharge paperwork and did not recommend getting vaccinated? Paul Thomas. And I'm going to read you now a direct quote from the court filing. Licensee's note documented a referral to a homeopath, recommendation of fish oil supplements, and phosphatidylsine supplement of some sort. He did not document an informed consent discussion about the risk-benefit of immunization for a child who had just sustained and still had sequelae of and remained vulnerable despite prior infection to tetanus, a life-threatening and disabling disease that is preventable by proper vaccination. Paul Thomas, who calls himself not anti-vax but pro-informed consent, did not provide informed consent. Then in 2019, Paul was taking care of 2 twins who were born at 35 weeks gestation. They were slightly premature. They were completely healthy until 10 months when they were admitted to the hospital for severe dehydration and electrolyte abnormalities following an infection with rotavirus, a vaccine-preventable disease. Here's the kicker. The mom told the hospital she thought her children had been vaccinated against rotavirus. He somehow was not being fully transparent. This parent thought her children were protected against the very disease they were admitted for.